Hey everybody, welcome to the Slick Tree Podcast. I'm your host, Colby Langford. The point of this show is to help improve ourselves as dogmen and to raise the quality of the dogs on the end of our lead. So let's settle in, turn the volume up, and let's see if we can't learn a trick or two together from our guests. All right, everybody, welcome to the Slick Tree Podcast. I'm your host, Colby Langford, and today I'm here with Lane Denny. I'm going to pick Lane's brain a little bit and get him to talk to us a little bit about him and his competition coon hounds that he's been running. How you doing today, Lane?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Lane, let's just cut to it, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name's Lane. I live in Oklahoma, a small town in the northeastern part of the state called Jay. Grew up around here my whole life. I'm married, got an awesome wife, got an awesome family, just a blessed man, just a simple guy. You know, I go to work and coon hunt about every night, so I keep it simple, I guess.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a diesel mechanic. I work for my brother here in Grove, and done that for off and on the last probably 5 years. Out of college, I went to college and got associates in ag business, and then went to work for my brother. Didn't use my degree, of course, you know how that deal goes, but went to work for him, and then I done that for 2 years, and then I got a job working for the Oklahoma Forest Service. Done that for a couple of years, and then ended up, my brother wanted me to go back to work for him, so here we are, you know, been back at it with him for 2 years now, so.
Yeah. How'd you get started with hunting dogs?
Man, I got started, I was probably about 12. Growing up, my dad coon hunted, and he just done it for fun, you know, like most people, and he just had old grade dogs, you know, they'd tree possums and armadillos, run deer or whatever. He just done it to have fun with it. Well, him and my mom, their families kind of grew up knowing each other because they're from the same area. And so, you know, just a little bit of a backstory. Coon hunting's kind of been part of my life before I even knew it. My mom and dad lived about 2.5, maybe 3 miles away from each other. Not that far through the woods, you know, probably a mile and a half or something. But anyways, my dad would just walk hunt his dogs all the way to my mom's house here for a few hours and turn around and walk hunt them back home, you know. So that was the kind of type of dogs he had. But so he got me into it when I was about 12. And, you know, it's been game over ever since, man. I tell you, the first time I ever went hunting, I told myself, I'm like, I'll always have a hound at my house. It was just, it was hook, line, and sinker. I knew exactly from the very first time that dog that I went hunting with struck a track and run and treated coon, it was just game over. I knew it. I'm like, you know, I went home that night, told my dad, I'm like, hey, I've got to have a hound, and I knew that was what I was going to do. You know, I was always going to have a dog at my house, and I didn't know that it was going to take me where it has today. You know but it's crazy. It's a blessing.
I know you've done quite a bit of winning and been pretty blessed with that with your dogs. Can you bring listeners up to speed a little bit on some of the stuff you've won?
Yeah, so, you know, like I said, got into it when I was about 12. Just pleasure hunter. I didn't know a competition coon hunt even existed. I just loved the dogs and just enjoyed watching them work. And long story short, there was a club hunt there by the house, probably, I don't know, it was probably 15 minutes from the house, and I got involved. I met a guy that was involved in that club. He's like, hey, you ought to come over, you know, and try it out. So I tried it out, and so, you know, I done the competition or the club hunts there. Basically, it was just something to learn the rules with, you know, just hunt with some good guys. And so I done that for a couple of years and ended up with a pretty good little dog and started going to some local UKC hunts that guys would haul me to, you know. Like I said, I was only about 14 at the time, and of course, you just had to go where they would go, and that's what we hunted, you know, and was a little bit successful. The dog I had was a really good dog, and he was actually a blue tick. I started kind of with blue ticks, so then in 2000, just kind of fast forward a little bit, the blue dog that I had that won at a local level with, ended up losing him. I didn't have a tracking system back then, so it was one of them deals that's kind of old school, turn him loose and just listen to him, you know, but he was trailing a coon one night and he just kind of fell off the face of the earth. But so fast forward a little bit to after I got, you know, lost him, I was trying to look for something to replace him, and I got Emmy, and I got her as a puppy, and so in 2014 we won the PKC Youth World Championship with her. And then the same year, the following spring, we got in the final three of the CHKC Youth World Championship, got third. And then, let's see, in 2015, won the Oklahoma State UKC Championship with Emmy. And then 2018, we actually got a truck ticket and went to Lula, Mississippi, and won the PKC Senior Showdown Truck Hunt. It was a huge blessing. That was definitely the biggest win I had at that time, and it was cool. But and then not long after that, in 2019, we went to the UKC World Finals and ended up getting lucky and winning the UKC World Finals with her as well. And that was kind of her last shebang. You know, we bred her a couple times in between, had some good litter of puppies out of her, and you know, she had at that point she'd won, I don't know, right around 48,000 in PKC, and then, you know, won the UKC World Championship. But and then, you know, as I just touched on, the first litter we had out of her, I got a dog, kept him, his name was Shot, got him back, and I call him Shot now. But and so this last spring, I won the pup shootout, PKC pup shootout truck hunt with him. So not long before I actually won that, I was in the finals of another truck hunt, a pro sport truck hunt. Shot's got around, he's been in the finals of some bigger pro classics and stuff. He's got probably around 83,000 won in PKC, and then another 7,000 won in pro sport, you know. So, man, them two dogs right there have kind of paved the way for me, and they have been a major blessing to me and my family, and they have, you know, it's been unreal, man. I tell you, when I was a kid and I first got into this, if you'd have told me that I would be where I'm at today because of a coon hound, I'd call you a liar. I'd be like, there's no way, you know. So just a blessing, you know, and it's, you know, the competition coon hunting has changed my life majorly. You know, I mean, they could get rid of them tomorrow and I would still be a coon hunter, but I don't know if I'd have the same type of dog that I do today. But so that's kind of the major wins that I've you know, been successful. I've been in the semifinals of the PKC World Hunt, semifinals of the PKC Nationals, finals of Spring Baby Stakes. Been in the semifinals of the CHKC World Hunt. That was back years ago when that was kind of a big deal, and ended up in the top 6 there. But, you know, been in the finals several pro classics. Just been blessed, you know, with some quality wins, and it's just been a blessing. It's crazy.
That sounds like it. It's a pretty impressive list of wins you got there. It's definitely something to be proud of. What would you say a few things that you would contribute to that success?
You know, first and foremost, I mean, I just got to contribute all that to my Lord and Savior, you know, Jesus
Amen.
Christ, man. I'm telling you, without him, you know, when he's walking with you, you can literally accomplish anything. And but first and foremost him, but, you know, secondly, it's just the ability, you know, growing up, my parents instilled in me, you know, anything you want to do it with 100% and be fully committed to it. And you know, and that's kind of how I've been with everything in my life. And when I got involved in coon hunting and I got involved in the competition side of it, I told myself that was the only way I was going to be able to be as good as I could at it. And so, you know, just work hard at it, you know, and just like anything in general, I feel like in life, the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. And so I try to work as hard as I can at it. Every night I go hunting, I'm trying to, you know, instill something and trying to learn something, whether it be me as a handler, as a dog trainer, or trying to, you know, make the dog learn something as well each and every night you go. So just work hard and stay dedicated to it, you know, and even at times where you're putting in all the work and it may not seem like it's going to come around to you, you got to stay dedicated to it and keep faith in it, you know, and if you truly enjoy it, I feel like even bad times, you know, they'll come and go and you'll stay hooked with it. So
So Shot was out of your Emmy dog.
Yes, sir.
You said you got him back. So you sold him off and then,
Yep, so
end up getting him back later?
Yeah, so we bred Emmy to Big Money. That was her first cross. That's what Shot's out of. Kevin Cable got him as pick of the litter. Kevin owned a Big Money. We ended up getting him. Kevin sold Shot to Bradley Kelly, a boy from Indiana, and Bradley posted him for sale. I called Bradley, bought him back. He was a started dog when I got him. He'd treat a few coons for Bradley, but Bradley's coon hunting's way better than Oklahoma coon hunting. Indiana's way better, and I got him back here, and we had some trouble with him. You know, he just wasn't acclimated to this, you know, and it was just one of them deals where we put in a lot of time with him. So
About how old was he when you bought him back?
about 10 months old, I think. He might have been coming 11 months old. He
Yeah.
was right between 10 and 11 months old, you know, so he was a young dog. I mean, he was still a baby, you know, and so.
Did you want him back just off knowing what he was out of?
Yeah, so at the time, I'll tell you a little backstory, back up a little bit. So I kept a male dog and a female out of that cross. The female I was actually trying to sell. She wasn't colored as good, she wasn't more as appealing to the eye, I guess, as what the other pups were. So she didn't sell, and the male dog, some boys in Iowa, Colton Atwell, and called me wanting to buy the male dog, and they was like 5 months old, 6 months old at the time, and I'm like, man, the female, she would actually go hunting with dogs. She wouldn't tree with them, but she'd go hunting, run a track. The male dog was lazy. He'd kind of go and come back, and I'm like, man, this female's better. Like, honestly, if I was wanting to buy one, I mean, it would be her. If I was going to give you this much for a puppy, I would rather buy her. I think she's got a little better start to her, and so they're like, nope, we want a male dog, and of course the male dog was pretty as a picture. He looked just like Emmy. Man, he was an old school preacher looking dog, big old houndy head on him. But so anyways, I sold him, kept the female, and it wasn't long after I sold him, Shot was for sale. And I knew most of the time in the years past, I've kind of been a female type of guy, like when it comes to a hound. And I've always liked hunting females more than male dogs. But I wanted to try to hunt a male dog out of my female. And so he come for sale, and I bought him, on a chance, maybe see what he makes. I mean, because it was just one of them deals. And then I sold the female to Hunter Chancellor. So then I put all my time into Shot. At the time, I was still hunting Emmy. Shot was 10, 11 months old. She was getting up in age. And she would have been 6-year-old, I guess, in 2018, 19, 6 coming 7. So, I knew I was going to have to start trying to look for something to replace her. I mean, 6, 7 ain't too old for a dog, but at the same time, anything can happen. She could pass away tomorrow. Could have at the time, and then I'd have been without anything, So, so I got him and just started focusing on him, But yeah, he was, like I said, 10, 11 months old, I think, when I got him.
Gotcha. What can you tell us about your normal hunting routines? So, say it's a Tuesday night, you're going to go out for basically what's a pleasure hunt.
Yep.
What's that look like for you?
Man, I tell you, it's nothing too fancy, honestly. I mean, just depends, depends on what I'm hunting. Like if I've Shot, I'm still hunting him and trying to keep him in shape, for the hunts coming up this spring and stuff. But if I'm hunting the pup out of him, I call Juice, But it just depends, If I'm hunting Shot, man, for the most part, I normally just hunt one dog at a time. But if I've got 2 dogs that both of them's finished dogs, and like right now, Juice is a puppy. He's 12 months old. He's out of Shot, and so most time when I go, I'll take Shot and Juice, and just to give Juice it's kind of a cast situation in a way, but it's not. You just got one other dog, but it's so he can work with that other dog and try to teach him, some things like independence, not to rely on another dog. But just pleasure hunting. I tell you what, I just coon hunt them. I'll carry a stopwatch sometimes, honestly. Sometimes I won't. It just depends. I mean, I feel like that a guy can overthink it too much, But the biggest thing, when they're 5 coming 6, like Shot's 5, and biggest thing is just to hunt him and get him in shape. You can overwork one, you can work on one too much, and when they're that age, I just try to coon hunt them and keep them in shape and feed them a bunch of coons. I'm a firm believer in the wintertime. I kill a bunch of coons to dogs, and that's a reward the way I look at it. If I went to work for 2 weeks without getting paid, I might not show up, the third week. So, but I don't do nothing too fancy. I'm really big on recasting them. I don't like drop hunting. Everything that I hunt, I'll recast as possible as much as I can, because in that situation, in the hunts, most guys ain't gonna drop hunt you. Most guys, you're gonna cut loose and hunt a spot for 2 hours. So, you've got to be able to. Them dogs have got to recast really good off them trees and be able to go in there and get restruck and tree another coon and then recast and not, But that's the one of the bigger things that I truly could say I focus on is recasting, and then everything else is just coon hunt them. I mean, just watch them. Every time I cut a dog loose, I'm always listening, watching, and seeing where I think that dog can improve at, And I'm the world's worst. Sometimes I feel like dogs should be flawless, but they're not. It's spelled D-O-G. It's not G-O-D, And man, it's just one of them things. But at the same time, I feel like if you're ever gonna get better, you always got to consistently try to get better every night, and every dump for that matter. Every time I cut a dog loose, I'm always, man, what's he doing? Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? And just consistently just trying to get better. At the end of the day, I'm just a coon hunter like anybody else is. But the thing is, I feel like that, the competition side of it, you've always got to constantly try to become better. You always just try to get your dogs to become better, each and every single night. And you've got to, because the way the competition coon hound is today, the dogs are so good. They're almost elite. Every cast you draw, you're going to draw 3 coon triggers, and them guys are putting in just as much as work as you are, and at the end of the day, whoever works the hardest, I feel like will go get the luckiest, so to speak, So, it's just a big deal for me, just to nitpick on them dogs, and try to work on them and try to see what we can improve on every single night. So.
You mentioned like you will hunt the young dog Juice with shot, working on certain things like independence.
Yep.
Say Juice was wanting to basically pack up with shot, and he started getting in the habit of that.
Right.
What would you do to work on him specifically for an issue like that?
Every dog's different. Some dogs you can work on cutting a switch. Some dogs you can bump them with a shocker. But it's sometimes you can do too much work to a dog too. Sometimes like Juice is at the point now where he was naturally independent, but every dog, you know as well as I do, a dog is a pack animal. They naturally want to be with dogs. So at some point in their life, you've got to work on it, unless you don't care about it. Hey, there's nothing wrong with a dog that packs up with dogs. And some people like it. It's just something that I don't enjoy, because whenever you're competition hunting like I do, every night that I do competition hunt, like I said earlier, I try to, get better and better. So when you're a competition hunter, you don't want nothing to pack up. But what I'll do is mainly just cut, have a dog get treed. If I don't cut them together, if I'm just trying to work on one thing, like say independence, I'll take a dog, cut him loose, and it's hard to do this by yourself, so you got to have a hunt buddy. But say shot, I'll let shot get treed, and I'll be at that tree with my light off, and I'll have somebody send Juice into shot. And then before Juice gets there, I'll be waiting on him, and I'll grab him up, cut a switch, and make him get out of there. And then just wait at that tree, and if he trees a coon, go kill it to him. You do that 10 times, 15 times, and them dogs you can cut them at a dog. They might go toward them dogs, but they're not going to go cover them, because they know, hey, if I go in there, I'm going to get my butt whipped. I need to go over here and tree my own coon, So just that, or if you're by yourself, and if a dog can take a little bit of a shocking, I'll cut them together and just watch them. If Juice is over here 500 yards and Shot's over here 500 yards and Shot gets treed and Juice starts working that way, when he gets 150, 200 yards from me, I'll go to bumping him, just lightly. And then the closer he gets, the hotter it'll get for him, And most generally you can bump them, because when you're shocking a dog, all you're doing is taking their mind away from what they got their mind on, So if that dog's got his mind on going to that dog and you go to bumping him, his mind does a 360, and now he's not focused on that. It just kind of snaps him out of it, and he might go that way, but might end up past the dog, or might end up turning around and go the other way, So it just depends on the dog. I've learned over the years, every dog's different. You have to treat every dog different, It's just one of them deals to where one dog, you might bump him with a shocker, and he might quit you. He just stop. I've had them. Where one, you might switch and he might shut down on you, but he can take a shocking. But most generally, the dogs I hunt, thankfully, have enough heart. They can take, one or the other. But the biggest thing is too, we work on these dogs and we ask a lot out of them. So man, you got to be good to them and you got to reward them, pet on them, love on them, kill them coons, reward them. And because if you don't, and you're all the time whooping on them, they're going to be scared of you, and I've done that too. I'm young and dumb. Every day I make a mistake with dogs. I've ruined some, but the thing is I've learned, and I'm constantly seeing what works on a dog, what don't. Every dog you have to evaluate differently, and I've learned that too.
On the point of shocking dogs, I went to a bird dog training seminar, 2-day bird dog training seminar this spring, and the guy that was putting it on around shot collar, I think the garments have like 21 or 30 some different levels of stimulation, but he would pass around the shot collar to people and say, and start on one low and bump their way up. And most people would be like a a 2 or 3 medium, like, okay, yeah, I'm starting to feel it. The way he was doing it was he would put the collar on the dog, start at 1 low, and bump them with them just sitting there.
Yes.
And soon as they flick an eye, just bump it up 1 little notch while they're just sitting there. And as soon as you see them flicker an eye or twitch an ear, turn their head when you do it, anything at all like that, that's where he would start when he was actually training.
Yep.
And,
yeah, I've heard of a lot of
guys. And
it
would almost take nothing. Like you would, like you barely even feel it at that same level. All it's doing is just redirecting, like, hey, it's just like kind of flicking them real light, flicking them in the ear. It's not like you're just burning the hair off of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I've heard of guys doing that. I don't know what they call that. They call it something. I'm not a professional dog trainer, but I've heard of guys doing that, starting at a lower stimulant, because again, every dog's different. Some dogs, you can turn that thing all the way up, man, and let them have it, and
run right through it.
Run right through it, you know. So, and then some of them level 2 or 3, and they're like, oh, hey, I don't like this, you know. So their tolerance, every dog's tolerance is different, you know. So yeah, that's a good deal.
So what are some things that you feel like sets you apart as far as your training? Because there's a lot of people that run competition coon hounds, and you're clearly doing something right. So what are some things that you think might kind of set you apart?
Man, I don't I don't know. You know,
getting your trade secrets here.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate trying to think of me different than anybody else. You know, I stay as humble as I can, but I feel like the success I have found, I'm not saying I'm different than anybody, but I feel like the success I have found goes back to working hard, staying dedicated, never losing faith. You know, I feel like that anything in life that you do, man, you just got to be fully committed to it, and you have to put in the work. But the biggest thing is being committed to it, because I don't care what you do. You know, growing up playing sports, same way. There comes a time where you're going to get in a slump, or you know, that's just not going to. It's not gonna come back to you like you think it may come back to you, but you have to stay dedicated to it. But I think that at the end of the day, that's the biggest thing. You know, I've never been the myself. I've never been the most talented kid growing up, you know, the strongest or the fastest. But one thing that made me a little different than most kids was I had heart, and I worked hard at it. And I feel like that if you take a guy that has a dog that has potential versus a guy that's just got all the money in the world to go buy a dog, the thing is, you can go buy a good one, you know, and you can still hunt it 2 or 3 nights a week, but you take that dog that has the heart and the potential and put somebody behind it that's going to hunt it 6 nights a week, and that's going to use his head with that dog and work with that dog. I feel like he's going to get a little further with it, and I dang sure know it means way more to him. You know, I've hunted dogs for people along the years and been successful, and I've done it with my own dogs, and it means way more to you. But, you know, the biggest thing is just working hard at it and staying dedicated to it. And because, you know, the harder you work, the more comes back to you. You know, I'll say that probably a million times in this podcast, you know. But you know, like I touched on earlier, man, you have to give thanks where thanks is due. And I'm telling you, you know, we sometimes people lose sight of it, but you know, without God in our lives, without Him giving me the blessings and the talents that He has given me, it means nothing. You know, I can't get anywhere. So, you know, but I feel like, you know, just you got to work hard at it, stay dedicated to it, and always give thanks where thanks is due. You know, and that's our Lord and Savior. I mean, I'll say it a million times. I'm not perfect by any means, but I'm telling you, I wouldn't have what I got today without Him. So,
Amen.
You know, it's a blessing. You know, but. Like I said, I don't like bragging on myself or nothing like that. I don't feel like I'm any different than anybody else, but I just feel like I've maybe got a little luckier, you know. So, but that's just it's just one of them deals, you know.
Say you got a big hunt coming up. Say you get a truck ticket.
Yep.
Got a truck hunt coming up.
Yep.
What's that look like? Getting prepared for that for you?
Yeah. So I mean, you know, you have to definitely get your dog in shape. You know, because the biggest thing is, you know, I've learned this over the years too, man, you can hunt as hard as you want to hunt, go into a hunt, and you can have one as ready as you think you got one. But when it comes to the hunt, you cut loose with 3 other dogs, and you cut your dog loose, all that's out the window, you know. So, but the biggest thing is you have to just have your dog in shape for the most part. So going up to a big hunt, you know, I like hunting one and making sure they're in shape. Going back, like I said earlier, every dog is different. Like Shot, you can hunt Shot 4 nights a week and he's fine. If you hunt him 6 nights a week and wear him down, he's not going to operate as good for you. He's still going to tree coons, but he's not going to move around and hustle because he just gets wore down. But, like Shot, I've got a truck ticket with Shot. We're going to go to Good Springs, Alabama in February and hunt for another truck in PKC. So, and for the last probably 2 weeks, Shot's kind of been on easy street, hunting him a couple nights a week. So, coming up in the next couple weeks, January, I'll start hunting him 3 or 4 nights a week, focusing all my time on him, getting him back in shape. Like I said, I'm big on rewarding them dogs, so when I'm getting one ready for a hunt, I'll kill them a lot of coons. And every dog is different too, man. Like some dogs, you don't have to kill coons to them. The Emmy, Shot's mama, you could go a year without killing her a coon, she's fine. And then she might start slacking up on you, kill her one coon, she's good to go. But Shot's the type of dog that the more you feed him, he's a dog of confidence. When that dog has confidence and he's confident in what he's got going on, he's a way better dog than what he is as if he don't have confidence, And I think that's the same with most athletes. You get a good basketball player that's got confidence and he's shooting good and playing good, then he's going to do better. But I'll just coon hunt one. I try to focus on one dog at that point because it's hard. Like when I'm training on Juice, and I'm hunting Shot, all I'm doing with Shot is using him as a training tool. Like I don't care what he's doing. I'm not, listening to him every bark he makes. I'm listening to Juice's every bark Juice makes, seeing how he's going to react with being with Shot in the woods and putting all my focus in him. So when I'm trying to get a dog ready for a hunt, a big hunt, that's what I do. I put all my time and focus in him. And, a couple weeks before the hunt, something I like doing, we're blessed where we're at. This is a hotbed for successful coon hunters. There's a lot of them around here. Cheyenne Cummins lives 45 minutes from here. They just won the PKC World Hunt. Brandon Gaines, he's got awesome English dogs. He lives 35 minutes from here. Braxton Wills lives right here. Successful youth handler. There's a lot of successful people. This is a hotbed for coon hunting. So a couple weeks before a big hunt, I'll start taking my dog over to their houses. We'll all get together and we'll put them in a cast situation and work on them because, them dogs, a lot of dogs are different. Some dogs, they work just as good in a cast as they do competition hunting. But when you're in a cast, you can't work on them, So them dogs are smart. They get figured out when they go to a hunt. They're like, I'm at a hunt. I might be able to get away with something. Yeah, so I'll load them up and take them to my buddy's house and put them in a cast situation and work on them, and then they're like, oh, hey, wait a minute, this might be a little different deal here, but just seeing how they're going to compete, and that's the deal. I mean, you can go to a $30 PKC hunt around here and draw a world champion, a truck winner at a $30 hunt, So if you can get one good enough and ready enough to compete at a local level around here, you can go compete with them anywhere in the country. So that's something else I do leading up to a hunt. I'll start putting them in cast type situations and giving them coons, in that situation because, like I said, dogs are smart, and if you can keep them guessing, and not let them figure out, hey, I'm in a cast and Dad can't do nothing to me, then you're a lot better off. You're kind of ahead of the game, I feel like.
So you said Emmy was a little different than Shot in that she didn't really need coons fed to her. What would it look like compared to Shot as far as getting her ready for like a truck hunt?
Yeah, so man, I would just basically coon hunt her. I mean, but she was one. You kind of had to stay on her until she was about 5. You had to stay on her more than you do a Shot. Shot's kind of a more consistent type of dog than she was. That's kind of one difference between the two. But you had to stay on her more. So, her biggest thing is when I would hunt her, I still to this day, I do shock them a little bit, but I try to avoid it if I can. If I'm trying to work on one for cover and, you're by yourself, you might have to bump them to keep them, But anyways, I would just hunt her, and kind of the same thing. But when I had her, I hunted by myself all the time. Now, where we live at now, like right now, Preston Thomas, he's here. He come down for, he lives up by Kansas City. He's got good dogs. And we get buddies together, and we'll go coon hunting together now. And we can put them dogs in cast-type situations all the time. But when I had her, it was just me, So I would use a stopwatch with her. I would cut her loose, start my minute. And then, let her get treed, make her stay treed like you would in a cast, go get her, walk her, recut her, and just keep doing that and recut and hunt her for 2 hours and see, kind of evaluate her and see how she was looking. But it's all the same at the end of the day. When I'm getting one ready for a hunt, my biggest thing is I'm just trying to focus on one dog. I won't take more than one. I would just take her. I just take shot, whatever I'm trying to work on, take them, focus on them, and just work on them. Every single night that I go, I'm listening to them dogs and seeing, hey, what are they doing? Why are they doing this? But I don't think I would do anything special with her, honestly, other than just coon hunt her. I feel like if you coon hunt one consistently, 5-6 nights a week, then they're expected to work for you every single night. They know, which most dogs look forward to dark. That's what they live for. They love it. So, but if you're consistent with them, I feel like the more you are consistent with them, the more consistent they are with you when performance-wise. But she was a little inconsistent, and that's the problem with dogs today. Most of them are a little inconsistent. But it's just one of them deals. I just feel like you just gotta hunt them, and put them in cast type situations. I feel like that helps the dog more than anything, because you can take a dog by itself every night and tree coons with it, and it looks good, and you're thinking, I've got one now. But then you put it with 3 other dogs and see how it's going to work and operate, and it may be a whole different ball game for that dog, And so that's the biggest thing for me anyway, and a lot of guys do the same thing. They'll go hunting with 2 or 3 different guys and cut them loose in a cast type situation and put them in those scenarios, so to speak, and just see how they're going to work, But normally, if I can kind of tell when I've got one right. My biggest thing with the dog is there's a few attributes I look for one, and if they got that and they're doing that consistently when I'm out there pleasure hunting them, and especially if I take them to my buddy's house and put them in that cast type of situation and they're doing that, then I know they're ready,
So there's probably going to be some people listening to this that are maybe bird dog guys, or maybe they're road hunting fights for squirrels, maybe beaglers. Maybe somebody's never even been on a coon hunt, never once seen a coon treed. Can you tell us just what it looks like whenever you go hunt with one of your dogs, just on a pleasure hunt? What's it look like from the time you step out of your truck till the time you're stepping back in the truck, just on average?
Yeah, it's peaceful. Some nights you're like, man, I don't know why I do this, But for the most part, man, it's like I said, it's cool to just be able to go out there and turn your dog loose, So like me, when I'm coon hunting, like around here, a lot of times I like cutting a dog. I'll get them out of the dog box, lead them around, kind of let them use the bathroom and stuff, so that way when you cut them loose, they ain't going to be messing around there. But, I like cutting them. If I can, cut them 200 or 300 yards from the woods, cut them down an edge or something. But snap them, turn them loose, and I feel like, sometimes, kind of going back to what I said earlier when I'm watching them dogs, like some nights I do it and some nights I don't. Some nights I just want to turn the dog loose and listen to them work. But when I'm trying to get one ready for a hunt, I'm watching my Garmin. Like I'm watching them, seeing how they work a track and seeing how they're operating in the woods, if they're running the edge, or if they're, moving slower than I like one to, or if they're – because that'll tell you a lot about, dogs can't tell you, hey, I'm sick or something, So I feel like if a dog's not moving around, he's kind of sluggish, or if he's not operating right, he might have something wrong with him. But, my biggest thing is I just cut them loose and stand there and wait until they get struck, and I won't move a muscle until they get treed, because, I want them to stay treed as long as they can. And the type of dogs I hunt, they're kind of bigger hunting type dogs, so they might be a half a mile from you before they do get treed. So, I'll stand place where I cut them, and when they get treed, I'll walk to them, or sometimes I'll be lazy and I'll drive around if I can, So, it's coon hunting it's awesome. If there's somebody out there that hasn't been and don't understand it, and they enjoy working dogs, I truly, and if they don't mind staying up at night, I truly, I influence them to go, because I've watched squirrel dogs work, I've watched bird dogs work, and I enjoy it all just as much as I do coon hunting. But watching a coon hound, the way they operate, the way they can fly through the woods, a thick set of woods at night, run a track, and tree a coon in an environment to where a coon is, that's where a coon lives. Like, that's his environment. And you take a dog that don't live there, he can't see. He's obviously just got to use his nose, and he can work through creeks and ditches and bluffs and take a track and drive it and run it and tree it. It's so cool, and the biggest thing is just listening to him work. I don't think there's anything prettier than a hound that's got a big old ball mouth on the ground that's running a track, barking every 50, 100 yards, drifting that track, and comes tree to the big old locate, and he's just the ever best tree dog. Like, that's what hooked me. And I feel like that, if a person's never been and they enjoy working dogs, and like I said, they don't mind being out at night, it's awesome. I feel like you got to go. It's hard to explain it just talking about it, but it's something that if you got it, you do, and if you love working dogs, you would probably enjoy coon hunting, especially if you like listening to them, because a hound, I love listening to a hound. If they have a good mouth, I love it. So, but that's the biggest thing is just trying it, it's hard to explain, but it's a blast.
And on the same note, we've referenced casts and hunting and casts. Yeah. Could you kind of give just a quick overview on what like a PKC hunt or a cast just would look like?
Yeah, so a cast is it's you go to the clubhouse and you'll be a random draw, and you'll go hunting with 3 other people or 2 other people. Cast is normally 3 to 4 dogs at the max, and you'll have a judge. Most local hunts you have a hunting judge. And he's just a voting member of the cast. He's got a dog in the cast too. All he's doing is writing scores down basically. So you'll draw out and you'll have a guide too. Your guide's more than likely going to be a hunting guide, so you'll be going to his spot. But you'll pull up to the hunting spot there. Everybody gets their dogs out. The guide most generally says, hey, if there's a fence on this property somewhere, a hog wire fence, they'll kind of tell you where it's at. Or they won't, hoping your dog trees on it. But they'll kind of lay the land out, and say, hey, this is what we got here, guys. There's a big creek that runs through this place, or there's a hog wire fence over here, or whatever. But you line the dogs up. Everybody cuts them loose when the judge tells you cut them. From the time you cut them, they have a grace period, which is a minute. A dog can open within the minute, and you don't have to strike it. As a handler, that's what your job is to do, is tell the judge when your dog is struck and when your dog is treed. So that grace period is a minute long. You don't have to strike if your dog opens, but you can. But if you do strike within the grace period, your dog has to show a track out to a tree, which is a kind of a gray area in a lot of times, because not every dog's going to bark a whole lot. Some dogs get struck, hush, and drift a track, and they might not open for 200 yards. But that's where a good judge comes into play, and he can kind of judge and dictate whether that dog is still on the same track that he was declared struck on. That's kind of what they consider that as a babbling grace period, because a lot of dogs, you cut them loose with 3 other dogs, they get excited and they'll bark just to be barking. But after that, after they're declared struck, there's a set of strike points and there's a set of tree points, both of them separate. And when a dog makes a tree, you combine them. So first strike, this is in PKC, which I guess PKC and UKC, the point system's now the same because UKC changed theirs, or PKC did. So strike points is 100 for the first dog declared struck. Second is 75. Third is 50. Fourth is 25. Same thing with the tree. The first dog declared treed is 125 points. PKC has a countdown. After the first 30 seconds from the first dog that was declared treed, second tree position's closed. So if another dog was to come and cover that dog and tree with it, he can't get nothing but 50 points out of it, plus his strike, whatever he struck for. And then after a minute, a dog can't get no points but a quarter from the first dog treed. So, and then, you walk into a dog. Let's just say, for instance, we're on a cast here, and dog A strikes for first and trees for first, and dog B is 75, C is 50, D is a quarter. But the only dog declared treed is A. So, and his tree time's up. 3 minutes is up. You're going to go score that dog. A dog has to stay treed for 3 minutes. They have to bark. They have to bark treed at least once every 2 minutes is the way the rule reads. So if a dog, say if you tree a dog, you walk to him, he shuts up, quits treeing. As a judge, normally you kind of give them 10 seconds, 5, maybe because they could be just kind of going down or going around the tree, or some dogs might chew a little bit. They could be maybe chewing a little bit. So give them just, 5, 10 seconds. If they don't go back tree and apply the 2 minutes. And if they don't bark within 2 minutes, they take a minus. But say you proceed to the tree. Once you get to the tree, you handle the dog. You have a shine time of 8 minutes. Everybody can shine the tree for 8 minutes. That's all the time you get. If you find a coon, you get plus points. Your striking tree gets combined, and you get plus points. If you're on a tree where there's no coon seen, and there's no way, like say it's not a hollow tree, a den or anything, there's no way a coon could be up there, then you get minus points. But if you're in a hollow tree or during the summer, if you can't shine all the tree, you get circle points. And after that dog is scored, you walk that dog a minute and you recast it. And then just kind of go, it strikes, and then once it gets restruck, it goes back for 25 points. This is PKC rules I'm referring to. It goes back for 25 points if everything else is struck in. If not everything is competing for first strike, you get 25 on a recast. So you recast the dog, and then say if another dog's treed, you go to its tree, score it, get it recut, and it's just that. You're most generally in a cast, you're busy walking the dogs, because in today's world, dogs don't pack up, You're going to cut 4 dogs loose, and you're going to score 4 trees. And then, and whichever order a dog is treed in is the order you score them. So, if my dog's treed first, we'll go score him. Your dog's treed second, we'll go score him. Then the third, and the fourth, and then so on. But normally by the time, these casts are so action-packed anymore, especially the bigger hunts. By the time you score the first dog and get the second dog scored, the first dog's normally treed again somewhere, because most of the time them dogs are half or 3/4 of a mile away from each other. And generally the way I look at it, when I've got my dog operating right, I want him to be treed within 15 minutes. They need to be hustling good enough to be treed somewhere within 15, 20 minutes. Every 15 or 20 minutes, I want them treed. Better if they tree in 5 minutes, awesome, but consistently, on average, I want them treed. So most generally, that's the way most dogs work, they're going to hustle around and be treed. But by the time you get all these dogs scored, something's going to be treed again. So you're constantly just walking and scoring trees, and there's dogs they're on a cast of dogs, every dog might tree 2 coons. So your strike points is kind of going to be your tiebreaker, so to speak. Because whichever dog got the first strike, if he treed the most coons, he's going to win, So, and that's the easiest way to explain it. At the end of 2 hours, whoever trees the most coons is your winner. Sometimes it don't work that way. You might have a dog tree 2 coons, but might make a slick tree. Make a tree where there's no coon in it. It's a minus tree, and then the dog that treed 1 coon but stayed out of trouble and had the most on his coon might end up winning the cast, So you want a dog that's going to be busy making trees, that's hustling, but you want a dog that's going to stay out of trouble. You don't want nothing that's going to take a minus, that's going to dig you in a hole, because it's hard to come out of, because most dogs anymore, when they get treed, they've got coons. Accuracy is something that's very good in the hounds today. So you want a very accurate dog, and you want something that's going to stay out of trouble, So, but that's the kind of the logistics of it. The easiest part to remember, there's so much rules that go into it, because there's a million scenarios that could come up, So, but the easiest thing is just kind of what I just explained. It's fun. I enjoy it. It's most generally the best dog wins, but sometimes it don't. Sometimes you might have the best dog that looked the best, but take a bad break. Maybe a coon bails on you and you take a tree minus or something, because that happens too. So a lot of luck goes into it. You got to have a good dog, but you got to have a lot of luck on your side too.
So what advice would you have for somebody that was looking into getting into comp hunting? Maybe they're just a pleasure hunter.
Yeah.
Maybe a kid or someone that's got a hound that they like to go out and tree coon with, but was wanting to dip their toes into the competition world.
Yeah, my biggest thing is I tell the guys this all the time. I'm fortunate enough to meet guys that just get into it and draw them, in hunts. And when I draw them, I explain to them everything, because I've been there. But when I was there, I got thrown to the wolves. Them guys didn't explain to me. They would minus me and say, hey, here's your $30 lesson, learn the rules. But that's the biggest thing, in my opinion. Whether if you want to, punt PKC or UKC, whatever you want to get into, get those rules and learn them, because the biggest thing is a lot of people don't understand why something happens in a cast, and they don't get explained to them, and they feel like they might have took something wrong. But for the most part around here, nobody's going to cheat anybody. We're all buddies. We have to hunt with each other night in and night out, So, but the biggest thing is step number one, I feel like, is definitely know your dog. I mean, hands down, know every bark that dog makes, why he's doing what he's doing. And step number two is, know the rules. And just go. If it were me, what I done was I started at a local level and just started, learning the rules, going to the hunts, and even just ask people. Like, if there's somebody that competition hunts that knows the rules, like myself, like if somebody wanted to get into it, didn't know the rules, or had a question, like, they can call me I don't care. Like, I would rather somebody call me and, hey, what happens in this scenario? Like, what rule is this? Like, I love helping people out because I know what it was like. Like, I was just a kid that when I first got into it, I got thrown to the wolves. They just said, here, have at it. And it kind of, luckily, I'm a competitive person, so it didn't bother me that much. It just lit a fire under me that I was like, hey, I'm going to know these rules. I'm going to know my dog even better. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to try to beat these guys, and so that's what happened. But that's another thing is, like, if you can't understand like the way the rules read, because there are a lot of gray areas in the rules. I mean, it's just like with anything. There's so many scenarios that can come up in a hunt that the rules don't specify, but at the end of the Blue Book and at the end of the UKC deals, it says use common sense, and you got to do that. I mean, just ask somebody that knows what's going on, before you go to a hunt. And if you got a buddy that is a competition hunter, call him up and say, hey man, I want to come over. Let's get a pretend cast going. And that's a lot of times, like, if I've got a kid that's wanting to get into competition hunting that is around here or whatever, like I'll tell him, I'll give him a set of rules, and I'll be like, hey, read this. I mean, anytime you got spare time, read it. And learn the rules. And then what we'll do is, when we're pleasure hunting, we'll kind of act like we're on a hunt. You strike and tree your dog, and I'll tell you, hey, I'll tell you where you did right, where you did wrong, and we'll just kind of practice. I mean, it's just like nothing. It's like everything else. Practice makes perfect with it. So, but knowing the rules, I feel like, is a big deal, because a lot of people, and some people do take bad things, but for the most part, coon hunting is about 95% of the guys you draw are awesome. Like, everyone, it's just, there's a bad apple in everything you do. Mm-hmm. I'd be lying if I'd said there wasn't. But the biggest thing is just prepare yourself by knowing the rules, because then if, say for instance, a rule comes up and you feel like that wasn't the right way to score it or whatever, and if you knew that, if you know the rules, then okay, hey, it is, or hey, it's not for sure. And then, there's a process that goes about that too, so, but, especially if it's a kid, like, my biggest thing is just hunt with somebody that does know the rules, and that's a reputable guy that isn't known for, doing people bad. I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, it don't matter what you do. You gotta do it right, and you have to do what's right. And I've cost myself a lot of money. I mean, by doing what was right, and nobody would have ever known any different. But for instance, kind of getting off topic a little bit, I was at Nationals, top 6 at Nationals last year with Shot, and everybody's dog's is treat. If Shot has a coon, nobody can beat me. It puts me in the final cast. The worst I can do is get third and win $10,000. Judge sends me in to handle my dog. Walking in, I see a coon sitting across the creek from my dog. And get in there, handle my dog. As I sat at that tree for an hour by myself. I mean, literally all I would have had to, the coon was 50 yards from my dog. All I had to do is take that dog over and tie him up, and guaranteed $10,000. I just couldn't bring myself to do it, But my dog was on a den tree. There's a hole. I could see a hole at the bottom of the tree. I knew it was a den. But I just took my chances on trying to find my coon. The coon didn't come out. I got beat. But, I had a peace over me whenever that was over with that I never felt in my life. It was crazy. But, the right person won that cast. That guy that beat me that night won the whole thing, won $30,000, So the biggest thing is find somebody that's going to that's going to do it right and that's not going to teach you the wrong way too. And luckily, I've found guys like that showed me, hey, look, man, you don't have to cheat to win. Like, it's not what it's karma's bad and it will get you. And do things the right way and it'll come around to you the right way too. So, but it's one of them deals that's awesome that people get into it. I just hope that new people do get into it. And the sport of competition coon hunting, man, there's more and more new faces. Like, I go to the World Hunt every year, and it seems like every year there's 15 people I've never seen there, and I love it. Like, I'm like, this is awesome because you have to have it. In order to grow, we've got to get new people in, and the sport of coon hunting is growing. I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger. There's more and more purses you can hunt for. I mean, you can hunt for, trucks. There's like $200,000 hunts a year, 2 or 3 of them. You can win $100,000 in one coon hunt doing it. But so it's awesome for new people to get into it. But the biggest thing is, like I said, just, know your dog, know your rules, and study them. Study both of them, and just go have fun with it too, and if you feel like you did get a bad thing, don't let it discourage you. There's a process for everything, but if you get it, it's just a horrible deal if somebody does you bad on your first hunt. Don't let that dictate. Go to another one, because I promise you they ain't going to do it again. Most of them guys that are that way, they kind of get weeded out, because they'll draw the wrong person and that knows the rules, and they'll question it, whether it's a scoring of a tree or something like that, and they'll be barred, So it's just one of them deals. You just can't get discouraged with it, and just stick with it,
Yeah. Well, Lane, I really appreciate you coming on and agreeing to do this podcast with me and letting us do it in your home. Appreciate you inviting me down.
Absolutely. I appreciate you doing it. It's awesome. These things are great. I've done a few of them, and they're all good for the sport. And hopefully, this reaches people that's not into coon hunting and they want to get into it. And if they do, my phone's always open, and you can call me, text me. It don't matter. I love seeing new people get into it, and especially kids. It's awesome, because without kids getting into it, the sport's dying,
Mm-hmm.
So, hopefully these podcasts, I think they spread good news about coon hunting, and I hope they continue to do so.
All right. Well, everybody take care and keep wearing out that boot leather. I just want to give everyone that's listening a sincere thank you. Getting this podcast going has been a project. I really hope you're enjoying it, and if you don't mind, give the show a good rating and review wherever you're listening to it at, or share it on your social media to help get some traction. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to your feedback.